Arcfra Enterprise Cloud Platform, AECP, is a software stack designed to help enterprises build modern infrastructure at any location and scale they prefer. It supports both traditional and cloud-native applications, with full infrastructure support for compute, storage, networking, security, and disaster recovery. Today we will introduce Arcfra AECP cluster deployment based on Arcfra Virtualization Engine, presented in two parts. The first part covers the installation of Arcfra Cloud Operating System, ACOS, and the deployment of the unified management software Arcfra Operation Center. The second part focuses on the deployment of the Arcfra Network Service, the network security software. The Arcfra Cloud Operating System is installed directly on bare metal servers, interconnected via 10 gigabytes or higher Ethernet networks. After cluster initialization, the system can provide virtual machine workloads and storage services to external users. In Arcfra AECP, the network mainly consists of the management network, storage network, and service network. Each system network has its own dedicated virtual distributed switch. It is referred to as a separated network deployment. When two or more system networks in a cluster share a single virtual distributed switch, it is referred to as a converged network deployment. Let's start with the installation for Arcfra Cloud Operating System. In this demo video, we are using DL servers as example. Open a browser, enter the Dell server BMC IP address, and log in with the username and password. Log into the virtual console. At the top of the interface, click Boot, then select BIOS Setup. At the top of the interface, click Power, then click Reset System, Warm Boot. In the confirmation dialog box, click Yes, and wait for the server to reboot. When the server enters the system setup, click System BIOS to access the System BIOS settings screen. In the System BIOS interface, set boot mode to UEFI in order to improve deployment efficiency. In the Processor Settings interface, enable the CPU virtualization feature. In the System Profile Settings interface, select Performance Mode. If you plan to enable the SRIOV feature, go to the Integrated Devices interface and set the SRIOV Global Enable option to Enabled. At the top of the node's Virtual Console interface, click Virtual Media. In the pop-up Virtual Media window, click Connect Virtual Media. In the mapped CD/DVD field, click Choose File. Select the ACOS image file, then click Map Device, and finally click Close. In Boot Controls, click Virtual CD/DVD to boot from ISO file. At the top of the interface, click Power, then click Reset System, Warm Boot. Wait for the server to reboot and load ISO image file. On the ACOS installation boot screen, select Automatic Installation. Start loading the installation image file. Select the capacity specification for the cluster nodes according to your actual plan. Enter 1 for the standard capacity specification. Enter 2 for the large capacity specification. Choose whether to install ACOS on 2 disks and configure a software RAID 1. Enter No. The system will automatically select a single disk, hardware RAID 1. If no suitable disk is found, or if more than one suitable disk is found, manually enter the disk identifier according to the Arcfra system disk, planned and recorded in the storage device requirements. Enter Yes. The system will install Arcfra Cloud OS on 2 disks and configure a software RAID 1. The system will automatically select a disk with a capacity between 300 MB and 480 GB as the boot disk. If more than one disk meets this condition, manually enter the disk identifier according to the boot disk planned and recorded in the storage device configuration requirements. After selecting the disk, ACOS will begin automatic installation. The installation time depends on the server type and current network conditions. Once the installation is complete, the server will automatically reboot. Use the ethtool command to identify the network interface name of the management network. Use the ethtool command to identify the network interface name of the storage network. Configure the management IP address on each physical node and then restart the network. Before initializing the cluster, verify whether the deployed Nginx service is running normally. Verify whether the deployed ZBS deploy server service is running normally. Check whether the time on each physical node is consistent. Once all the above verifications are complete, proceed with the cluster initialization. Enter the IP address of any node in the browser and click Agree to the Terms of Service. In the Cluster Setup interface, enter the cluster name and select Arcfra Virtualization Engine as the hypervisor. To enable boost mode, check the Enable Boost Mode checkbox, optional. In the Disaster Recovery options, select Disable Active-Active Clustering. Click Scan Cluster to proceed to the next step. Check the hosts you want to add to the cluster. Modify the host names of the selected hosts to make each node in the cluster more easily identifiable. If the cluster has more than 3 nodes, identify and select the cluster's master node based on the management IP or host name. Set a unified password for the root account and the Arcfra account on all hosts in the cluster. Select the appropriate option based on whether the cluster will use a tiered or non-tiered storage model. Refer to the recorded purpose of each physical disk in the storage device configuration requirements to confirm the system's automatic selection. Click Configure Network to proceed to the next step. Configure network for the management network and storage network. The system will automatically create a virtual distributed switch and associate the network based on the selected mode. By default, ACOS uses a separated deployment mode. Enter the name of the management network distributed switch and select the NIC for the management network. Enter the name of the storage network distributed switch and select the NIC for the storage network. In the demo video, only a single NIC is selected. In production or test environments, the management and storage networks should use 2 separate NICs, and the appropriate NIC bonding policy should be configured according to requirements. Configure the IP addresses, subnet masks, and gateways for the management and storage networks, as well as the DNS and NTP settings. You can also use your own NTP server, provided that network access permissions have been granted. Verify that all previous settings are correct, including the cluster name, virtualization platform, management and storage IPs, physical disk usage, virtual distributed switch configuration, network configuration, DNS server, and NTP server. Click Perform Deployment. The cluster has started the automatic deployment in the interface. You can also view the deployment logs by clicking the View Logs button on any node. If an error occurs during deployment, the logs can help quickly identify the issue. The deployment duration depends on factors such as the number of nodes, server performance, and network speed. Wait until the deployment is complete. After the cluster has been successfully deployed, proceed with the post-deployment configuration. Configure the super administrator password. Configure IPMI settings. Deploy a new instance of the Arcfra Operation Center. Configure the cluster VIP, virtual IP address. Upload the Arcfra Operation Center installation image and configure the environment as needed. Configure the Arcfra Operation Center network settings. Define the organization name and set the super administrator password. After completing the configuration, start the installation. The deployment duration depends on factors such as server performance and network speed. Wait until the installation is complete. After the installation is finished, access Arcfra Operation Center to perform the next configuration steps. Log in to the Arcfra Operation Center platform by entering the super administrator root password. Create data center. Associate cluster. Input the cluster VIP, admin credentials, and proceed by clicking Next to begin associating the cluster. Select the data center you created and proceed with cluster association. The cluster has been successfully associated. Now let's continue with the installation for Arcfra Network Service. Log into the Arcfra Operation Center. Click on Cluster in the Navigate bar and click on Network and Security. To start the ANS service, follow the 2 steps to deploy. Compared with other vendors, it eliminates the need for pre-provisioning management VMs or containers, enabling faster deployment and lower administrative effort. Upload the ANS installation package from local file. Once installation package has been successfully uploaded, click Deploy ANS Service. Input ANS service name and select the corresponding version. For this demo, only the distributed firewall feature will be installed. Based on the deployment plan, select the number and configuration type of ANS controllers to be deployed. Configure the network information. For each ANS controller VM, configure the IP address. Configure default communication and global allow list. Choose whether to enable deny communication by default. If enabled, the virtual machine will be blocked from sending or receiving any traffic. If disabled, the virtual machine will be allowed to send and receive all traffic. Choose whether to enable global allow list immediately. When deny communication by default is enabled, or when custom security policies are configured, the global allow list ensures that services deployed outside the data center, such as bastion hosts, can communicate properly with virtual machines inside the data center. For this step, keep the default setting. This feature can be enabled later from the distributed firewall interface. Start deploying ANS controller VMs and services. After deployment, basic info and VM details are displayed in the ANS controller interface. Associate the distributed firewall with a cluster. Select the cluster name and VDS, then click Save. ANS Distributed Firewall successfully associated with the cluster. ANS is successfully deployed. This concludes the demonstration. Thank you for watching.